Hello, champions. Today, I just want to give you like a summary of a lot of information that people are asking for, and I'm going to talk about the dangers of modern medicine and an accumulation of common sense medicine, or what medicine really should be, just common sense. And this is my approach to wake you up to think for yourself, go back to maybe your grandmother's recipe or herbal books, learn about supplementation. Don't listen to anybody and just take something that somebody else tells you to take. Do your research. Look at all the ingredients and where they are coming from. Make sure whatever you take is not coming from China, because this is one of the most horrific things I figured out, that nearly every product, all the supplements coming from China are potentially very, very dangerous. The fish they sell us is raised in sewage, literally sewage. So what the fish are eating, that then we are eating, if it comes from China, is literally poop. And you are what you eat. Remember that. Your body is what you eat. You are what you think about mentally, emotionally. But your body can only be built from the ingredients you put in here. So the food you eat builds the new cells, builds your body. And on the other hand, in the Chinese powdered vitamins, rat feces, mouse feces, and urine, as well as black mold, is, based on my research, very, very common in China. So you should just really see, you're the only one that has to live with your body, and you're the only one that has to live with the consequences of your actions and non-actions. That means if you do the right things, you enjoy the consequences, you get the reward in health and vitality. But if you do the wrong things, knowingly or unknowingly, does not really matter. If you eat bad stuff, toxic elements, toxic dyes in the food, fluoride in the drinking water, all of this is going to have an effect on you. And subconsciously, you know that. It is just, we humans are trying to always to survive in the situation we think we cannot change anyway. So we get used to, oh yeah, there's fluoride in the drinking water, because there is no direct pain, no direct illness, no direct problem coming out of it after you drink a glass of water out of your tap water. And because so many things just have a very long-term effect, you don't take it that seriously. But you also need to ask yourself, do I want to be here in another 20 years? How is my body supposed to look like? How do I want to look like in 20 years? My dear friends, all of this is extremely, extremely important, because your mind creates your future. And what you put into your system creates the body or destroys the body or hinders us from regeneration. Because the body is, you have every 4 weeks, basically the new skin, the outer layer of your skin is renewed every 4 weeks. 1 to 7 billion liver cells renew each second. You have every 6 weeks a brand new liver. So basically, all the bad stuff we did to us, from drinking alcohol, consuming toxic food or food ingredients, all of this can be changed. And if you live, let's say you have a liver problem, and most of you know I cured my mother from liver cancer in a terminal state with the prognosis of 6 months to live, and she lived another 48 years completely healthy and happy after that. And so let's say you have a liver problem, and you know every 6 weeks you have a brand new liver. Every eight weeks you have brand new kidneys. So if you focus, let's say, on the liver, and you do all the right things for the liver for 6 weeks, then you have a pretty good chance to regenerate your liver in a very short amount of time to the highest possible level. And of course, you need to do, if you're really ill, you need to research your illness, you need to research treatments, natural treatments. You cannot rely on the medical industry or pharmaceutical industry. You cannot rely on an industry that lives off your pain and suffering. Because what do you think the pharmaceutical industry has an interest in getting you healthy? When you are healthy, you're not their customer anymore. So their vision is to keep everybody basically on their medication. There's no plan really from their side to find a cure you, and then you are fine. They love diabetics because they have to come back for testing all the time, and they have to take basically drugs all their life. Even if it's not true, diabetes is, as I learned, curable. A friend of mine worked for a company that sold perfect whole foods, and he figured out the customer service, customer satisfaction service, and all these kind of things. So he figured out that a lot of people told him that diabetes was gone after they were 18 or 19 months just on their clean, organic whole foods. And so that shows just by change of diet, you can basically reverse a malfunction in your system that they call diabetes. And then Dr. Brian Ardis, I believe, talked about the possibility of curing diabetes with certain minerals. I didn't really remember what he said, but excuse me. But I remember that he said there is a cure for diabetes. And so from my perspective, I need nothing with my patients. I have, based on 2 independent studies done, the highest cancer cure rate in the world and a 92.3% cancer patient cure rate. And so I just work with the brain, and the brain can produce anything it needs anyway itself in the body. But my instinct-based medicine system is based on the belief that I have proven right over and over again by curing 66,000 patients personally with autoimmune diseases, 35,000 cancer patients. The second you change your perspective, the second you change your vision, the second you change your goals, or even create goals, set goals. For example, I always ask my cancer patients at the first session, why did you give yourself cancer? Or why did you allow your body to develop cancer? And then there's a big fight, and then they all tell me they would never do that, and they want to be healthy. And after we talked half an hour, they tell me exactly why they have cancer. Because cancer is based on mental and emotional stress, like living in worries, doubts, and fears, but most of all, making compromises against yourself or who you truly are. That means my most favorite example is, let's say you live in a family household where your mother-in-law lives with you, and she's constantly nagging, she's constantly, if you come home from work 10 minutes later than planned, she's saying, what did you do? Did you cheat on my daughter? Why are you late? And so after a while, when you drive home and you see her lurking on the window, you don't even want to go in anymore. And if you keep on going there, and if you live with these kind of constant internal stress, and the mother-in-law is still there every single day, after a very short amount of time you develop probably stomach ulcers or gallbladder stones, and if it's long-term you develop probably colon cancer. Stomach is always the symbol for short-term things you cannot digest in your life. Colon is always long-term, so as the situation keeps on going, probably you develop in that situation colon cancer. So it doesn't matter what kind of medicine you take, what kind of treatments you get, how many surgeries you get, and in the case of colon cancer, how much colon they take out. All of this doesn't matter as long as the root cause, meaning your mother-in-law, is not eliminated, meaning throw her out of the house and the healing starts. But with eliminating, I don't really mean just drag her in the backyard and shoot her, but you need to free yourself. See, my instinct-based medicine system is, I called it this way because I believe our instinct is always right, and I believe our instinct is God talking to us. That God talks to us through our instincts. We don't need a priest or some kind of clown with a funny head in some cathedral. These people don't know any more about what God wants for you than anybody else. Just because they read the Bible a couple of times doesn't make them better or get them closer to God. And God is definitely not talking to them. So, but God is talking to you every single day, to every feeling, every urge you have. So for example, if you have cravings, is your body telling you that these exact elements are needed for your body that you crave to be healthy or rebuild? That's why, for example, usually women have the weirdest cravings during pregnancies, because the fetus that's just built is created, needs these building blocks, and that's why the mothers have these kind of cravings that often make no sense, and often they don't even eat this stuff anymore after the baby is born. So what I'm going to say with this podcast today is, dear friends, learn about the IBMS system. It's called Instinct-Based Medicine System. And it is the science of identifying and eliminating the root cause of every negative result in a human's life. It doesn't matter if you have cancer in the wallet, meaning you're broke, cancer in a relationship, meaning you're lonely, or cancer in your body. It has all the same basic root cause. Something in you or in your life that's causing this negative result. And you can, it's like very often people that are constantly broke or broke over and over again have a very bad relationship to money or having money. And they might even feel bad when they make money, so they self-sabotage and destroy their financial life or future. The same happens with the human body. If you hate yourself for whatever reason, you live in guilt, and that's basically usually a problem that's created by the churches. I hate organized religion because this is a crime against humanity. You can have your religion, whatever you want to do, but stop just doing something because a book or some person is telling you how to behave, how you should feel, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. live the way you feel. Do what you want to do and stop doing the things you don't want to do. But based on you, based on yourself. Healing can only happen if you heal yourself first. And this is basically the very first IBMS session for you, that you can start healing yourself today. The main problem is if you believe there is a pill or a doctor or a person or a surgery that can cure you from whatever problem you have, you are really on the wrong track. Because the only person that can make you sick or allow yourself or your body to get sick is you. And you're the only person that can cure yourself, nobody else. People say, yes, he cured nearly 100,000 people, meaning me, but that's really not the truth, because I can only help these people to cure themselves. Nobody can cure somebody else, believe me. I have seen it, I have tried it, I have traveled the entire world to find a cure for my mom, because nearly 50 years ago the doctor said she has a maximum of 6 months to live, there is no hope, there is no cure, there is no treatment. They only gave her basically very strong painkillers so that she didn't have to scream all day long from the pain. But I traveled the entire world, the Asian part, mostly also because I was in martial arts all my life, and I learned a lot in Asia about martial arts, but also healing, also about traditional Chinese medicine. And I was in Brazil meeting all the so-called healers, and nearly all of them are fakes. But there are some people that have certain kind of ways, not certain kind of powers, but certain kind of ways to help people to cure themselves. If it's the placebo effect or whatever it is not important at this moment, because the only thing that matters is the result. And so there was this known story when I studied and I went to university in Germany. There is this story that's been told that there was this woman, she went from doctor to doctor telling everybody, I have mice in my stomach and they are eating me, they're biting me, they're hurting me. And of course the doctor said there are no mice in your body, and even showed her x-rays, whatever they did. After about 20 years, finally some very smart and understanding surgeon that wanted to help said, yep, I see it, there are mice in your system and I'm going to cut them out. So they prepared this lady for the surgery. He made a fine cut, and so that she thought there was a surgery. And then they had a cage with 5 white mice in it and showed her, these are the mice that we got out of you. And from that moment on, this woman never had a problem again. And of course, the doctor lost his license when the success story came out. And that's why I'm always saying, like, mostly the naturopathic, homeopathic community in Germany is saying who heals is right. And this is basically the truth. The results matter. If the patient is healthy at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter why, as long as the patient is healthy. Because they are saying so many people got cured from homeopathy. Then there are the pharmaceutical industry-led or trained or brainwashed doctors saying that's not even possible. There is no way that homeopathy or homeopathic medicine can do anything. So prove it. And that's how they got homeopathy out of the business, because these little bottles that cost $1 or $2, these people selling this or producing it do not have the millions and millions of dollars to make the required tests, to call it the medicine, and label it with what this medicine is for and what it's supposed to do. So that's how they got homeopathy basically out of business. just with a simple trick saying you have to prove the validity, you have to prove it has a positive impact on the health of the user, otherwise you cannot sell it anymore. And of course, since nobody had the money to do that, and homeopathy is basically not patentable because it's natural, very simple way of producing it. So nobody had the money or was willing to put the money in for all these hundreds of different homeopathic cures. The same as the problem with naturopaths. See, in Germany we have two different ways, two different forms of licensed therapists. And we also have two different forms of licensed medical doctors. So basically, a doctor of medicine in Germany can also be a doctor of natural healing. So a doctor, ein Arzt für Naturheilkunde, a doctor for natural healing, and he can be still an MD, but he has to be an MD first, and then he can get the added title Doctor of Natural Medicine. And in America it's all a little bit different, and worldwide it's different everywhere because there is really no uniform healing, health and therapy system in this world, because wherever the pharmaceutical industry is extremely strong or the medical industry is extremely powerful, there is no really natural healing allowed. And the only way to heal is natural. There is no way to get cured from anything through chemicals, there's not one single medication out there that cures anything. Or there's not one, everything is artificial, everything is chemical, everything is an assault on the body. Like surgery, for example. When they cut out the lymph nodes, if a woman has breast cancer and they cut out the lymph nodes, so the lymph nodes are basically the physical immune system. We have 4 times more lymph liquid than blood, and it's very, very important so that the lymph system can work perfectly. But if they cut out the lymph nodes, there is no total healing even possible anymore. So be very aware of, before you ever get a surgery, really look into it. What are they going to do to me? What are the short and long-term effects? What's the probability of ever even getting better or recovering totally from even the surgery? And there's also, I think, 13,000 cases last year where they took the wrong limb off. So instead of taking off the right leg, which they were supposed to take off, they took the left one off. And all these kind of things. And a hospital is for sick people, it's not for healthy people. And as we know, during the COVID times, they killed all these people on purpose for money by putting them on deadly drugs or respirators, and these people basically suffocated to death. But we know that thousands and thousands of people died in hospitals that could have been still alive today if they wouldn't have gotten a treatment in a hospital or were basically jailed, locked up in a hospital. And you can always get out no matter what they say. When you say against doctor's advice or against doctor's orders, and then you leave. But otherwise, the hospital system, mostly in America, it's like a jail. They think they have you trapped and you cannot leave if you want to, if they don't want you to leave. And you need to do really some research. Most of all, if you get into a hospital, they have you sign some form that you basically consent to anything and everything they decided that they want to do to you or with you. And never just sign this in the computer, have a printout, and cross everything out on the paper that you don't consent to. Because the doctors in training do a lot of unnecessary surgeries on people in coma, because they have to train somewhere, or people that they think they are dying anyway. So if you sign all these documentation and all these consent forms without really reading it and understanding what it means, it is could be very, very damning, really dangerous. Most of all, do not be an organ donor, because if they take your organs, you have to be alive so that they even can take the organs. There's no such thing as brain dead. The Harvard University invented this to create a legal form to make millions and millions on people dying or on the organ transplantation. So basically, that they don't have to admit we are basically killing the person when we take the organs. The person's not dead, because organs cannot be taken and be used in another human being from a dead body. So there are stories from nurses that the patient woke up during the organ extraction and even started to fight the doctors, and the doctors then just said, well, it's just reflexes. The person is dead. And I know personally a lot of nurses that told these stories or quit their job because they said, I cannot handle this, I don't want to handle this any longer. And on the other hand, we know that a lot of people that were buried, let's say 150 years ago, and when they then in Germany, I don't know how this is worldwide, you buy the grave for a certain amount of years, and then they dig you up and whatever they do with a coffin and the remains, and then they sell the grave basically to the next person. And then they figured out when they opened up the coffins that there were scratch marks on the inside of the coffin. So basically the person woke up sometime after he was buried or she was buried and tried to crawl out there. And that means a lot of people that seem to be dead are not necessarily dead. And there's a lot of talk about. That's why basically they started to have the person laying there dead for 3 days until they bury them. And there's so many stories of people that were dead, woke up, or even woke up during the ceremony for their remembrance, and open casket, and just started to move or started to twitch or started to literally get up. You need to just research all of this. I'm saying this because we are so used to let them do with us whatever we want, or we think, okay, when we are dead, we are dead. I don't care what they do to my body. And what they do is they tell you are saving other people through your organs, which is completely messed up. Usually, if you have somebody with liver cirrhosis from alcohol, this person has his lifespan and should be dead, could be dead already anyway. Why would you give somebody that ruined his own organs knowingly, willingly, and then you give him a new one to do this entire thing over and over again? I never understood that concept. And all the millions they are making, or maybe billions as an industry. So be very careful with everything you have to do that has to do with the doctor or the pharmaceutical industry. Always read the side effects and get used to understanding what words mean. Look it up. With the AI, it's very simple and easy now to just get some kind of an AI system. You just type in the word and it explains it to you if you don't understand it, because only the priests or the medical profession has a secret language, Latin, so that the common person cannot understand when they talk, that they don't know anything either. And why would you have a secret language in general? Just think about it. There must be a reason. But the medical doctor has no idea about healing because he has no training about healing. The average medical doctor has no training about diet, healthy diet, healing through diets, healing through vitamins, herbs, natural healing. For over 2,000 years, people that were then very knowledgeable with herbs, partially lived in the woods, created everything people needed to get treated and cured from any form of health, negative health condition. They all got killed by the Catholic Church mainly, but churches in general. All these things with the witch killings, all these women that they killed were knowledgeable women that had a lot of knowledge about health or cures, natural cures. And of course it took the power away from the churches, so the churches made sure that these knowledgeable people were not just women, were women and men, but women most of all, because these guys that cannot have sex officially, of course they have more sex than some married people, and so they were just horny and jealous, and they wanted to have power over women, so they cast them out as a witch and made sure these women got tortured and killed. The human psyche is really weird. It's very, very interesting how many of these bad things are happening through professions like members of the organized churches. But also the Catholic Church creates a lot of guilt in their members because really everything you do or think might be a sin. There is no such thing as a sin, guys. Forget about it. I forgive you everything you ever did because you're the only person that you have to answer to. There is no such thing as a sin. There are right and wrong things, and there's certain things you shouldn't do. But if you have a thought about having sex with your neighbor's wife, it's not a thing, a sin. It's basically just a normal male thought. And all these Catholic women that ever cheated in their marriage often got so guilt-ridden that they created for self-punishment, self-sabotage, cancer of the reproductive organs. And basically, always remember, cancer is caused by mental and emotional stress, living in constant worries, doubts, and fears, living in compromises against yourself, and living in guilt. See, every illness is based on lack of energy, and only stress, like living in guilt, can create, or in compromises, can create that much lack of energy that your body is not able or capable anymore to regenerate or overcome whatever is wrong. I have seen people recovering and getting cured from literally everything. I personally had nearly every illness you can come up with. I had unbelievable illnesses, unbelievable pain, and on one hand I was looking everywhere to cure my mom, so I learned a lot from patients that were sick and got healthy, from doctors or healers that really had real results, and through curing myself from all this kind of stuff. Like I had a horseback riding accident, really bad, and I was in a wheelchair for 4 months, and they said I'm never going to walk again. And if you have ever seen me jumping up and down on stage, then you know they didn't know what they were talking about, because all I said to them was just watch me. Don't take it. If somebody says you have 3 months to live, how does he know? Is he God? No, they don't know. They only know based on how much chemotherapy they give you, how long you can make it. And this is very often the time frame they give you that you have to live. But nobody knows if you are curable or not. There's no such thing as an incurable disease. It doesn't exist. I personally have seen patients or had patients overcoming all these horrible illnesses that the medical profession said are not curable. I dealt most of my life in my hospitals in Germany or Europe with people that were given up by the medical profession already. And with nearly having 100% cure rate, 92.3%, the people that died were only at the beginning, when I didn't understand not to work with patients that were pre-murdered by the medical profession already, when the half of the lymph system was taken out, or massive organ damage was done, or the colon were taken out. When you get the nutrition to survive through your colon. If they take the colon out, you starve to death anyway. So in my 25 mega best-selling books up to 29 different languages, I describe the IBMS system that I invented, which I use to cure based on the thank you letters, emails we got, on the testimonials, on videos. Millions of people got cured or cured themselves with my IBMS system, because if you understand how illness and how health works, if you understand that if you are positive, happy, uplifting, full of energy, you cannot get a cold or flu. You have to be down, depressed, worn out, so having lack of energy first, and then you can create a cold or flu. While the flu is nothing else than a detoxification process. You're just too highly toxic. Basically, you throw up, you have diarrhea, you sweat. All of this is detoxification, and there is not an illness called the flu. Basically, it's a symptom that your body is so highly toxic that it uses every modality to get rid of the poison out of your system so that you can recover and heal. So what they call the flu is basically the cure. And then my most favorite subject is there is no such thing as a virus. The entire so-called science of virology is, in my opinion and experience, flawed. I never believed that a microbe can make somebody sick. And they even took these microbes that they call viruses, which just means poison, the word virus means poison, and put it into a healthy human being to see if that microbe is creating the same kind of illness with the same symptoms in another person. And it never worked in one single case. They could never prove that there is whatever they call a virus that they can take from a sick person, put it in a healthy person, and it creates the same illness and the same symptoms than in the sick person. So it doesn't exist, it never existed. That's why I want to get back with you to common sense medicine. I want to teach you as much as I can, do this over this platform, about my IBMS system. And we're going to have seminars, self-help, self-curing seminars, if we get enough people together. So if you are interested in curing yourself, please write me to ibms@drleonardcoldwell.com, drleonardcoldwell.com. So IBMS for Instinct-Based Medicine System, ibms@drleonardcoldwell.com. Please write me. When we have enough interest, we create a seminar for people to learn how to heal themselves or their loved ones, or protect themselves for ever getting cancer, which is extremely easy to do. If you think about all 7 siblings of my mom had cancer, my mom had cancer, my father died of cancer, all 4 grandparents of mine died of cancer, all 68 of my cousins and grand-cousins and their children whatsoever died of cancer. So basically, what I'm trying to say is cancer is not hereditary, cancer is not genetic, because based on my past and on my history of my family, I should have gotten cancer in my life. I'm 67 years old now, and I'm healthy, and I don't have cancer. I never had cancer. I cured my sister from cancer in 72 hours. And so, but I just want to say, do not believe. Most of all, the facts are saying that only 4 to 7% of the people that have cancer, that somebody in their gene line had the same kind of cancer. So it's basically not even, from that point of view, not even provable that cancer is hereditary. There's no hereditary disease. There might be a predisposition for something, but most of the things that people think is inherited, is genetic, are trained behavior. The same people in the same family get the same illnesses because they learn from the adults as children how to behave, what to eat, how to react and deal with stress, so they get the same results. The same actions lead to the same results, but it's not hereditary. Also, another proof is that there are adopted children that didn't know they were adopted, that got diseases that were supposedly inherited in the family that adopted them, but there was no genetic connection. So the mind plays a really huge role, and Professor Dr. Bernie Siegel, was his great book, I think it's called Getting Well Again, even created cartoon movies for his cancer-ridden or stricken children, which is mainly from vaccination when children have cancer or other medication. But he created cartoon movies where he showed the white army, the immune system, fighting the black army, symbolizing the cancer, and showed these children these movies. And as I remember, I read this book 20 some years ago, maybe 30 years ago, and the children got better. He had an unbelievable help or cure rate with cancer in general. Dr. Bernie or Bernhard Siegel. On the other hand, my staff always tells me, don't make the video so long nobody's going to watch it, so I'm going to end this here. This was introduction into curing yourself with IBMS, the instinct-based medicine system. It was your Dr. C or Dr. Leonard Coldwell, and I try to make another video within a week, so then once a week, so that over time you understand and know and are able to use the 12 basic IBMS sessions to cure yourself and your life. What you're basically doing is you cure your life, you fix your life, and then the body fixes itself. Okay, that was Dr. Leonard Coldwell. My website is doctor spelled out, drleonardcoldwell.com, or my email, ibms@drleonardcoldwell.com. Have a wonderful time. Get well, stay well, love life, and love yourself. Tell yourself daily, I love myself.